Seeking English, S.A.T. Workbook, page 348, problem 4. By now you may have noticed that for the fourth problem on each page, I'm fumbling around and acting a little bit more awkward than I should. And that's because it's not simply because the fourth problem is harder. If I wanted to, I could spend all day rehearsing. In class, I like students to see me have a little bit more difficulty with the fourth problem because I think it helps them feel that I sympathize with them more, that I'm on their side. I am on your side, okay? So again, I could go through the fourth problem and say, isn't this obvious? But I don't think that psychologically serves my students. I think it's much better for them to see, yeah, this is the part that's difficult here. If I can show them some of that at least. In this case, I put stuff on the board, so I'm a little bit ahead of you. But you will notice me fumbling around, probably a little bit. It says if R is 160% of S, what percent of R minus S is S? So what I have done here is this is 160% of S, 1.6S, and I'll explain why later why I've notated it this way. Down here, this is the part that on the real test, in an equivalent or similar problem, is probably going to cost you the time that I'm otherwise wasting in this video. The time is figuring out how to construct this thing. What am I looking for, and how do I get there? Okay, I'm going to show it to you. I don't have any trick about how to get there more quickly, except to do more of these problems. So the more of these you do, the more obvious it will become to you how to construct these formulas. Okay. Now, if you look, this is a little detour here. The answers here: 186.7%, 177.9%, 166.7%, 155.4%. Look at your answers, okay? At least glance at them before you dive into the other part of the problem. The answers are where you're going. You're going to have to pick one of those or actually eliminate 3 of them, okay? These answers are substantially different. There are large enough numerical gaps between these numbers that if you're off by a little bit, it's not going to make that much difference. You're still probably going to pick the correct one. You'll probably pick the correct one anyway. You're probably going to calculate pretty close. The more important point to notice is they're each 100 and something. 150. They're each between 150% and 200%. Okay? So this is key. Listen carefully. Do not, in this problem, worry about decimal positions at all. What you are looking for is a group of numerals. Either 4 numerals or even 3 numerals would do it. 1867, 1779, 1667, 1554. You're basically looking for 186, 177, 166, or 155. If you get there, the decimal positions are probably not going to matter because it's almost inevitable that you've actually done the thing correctly. So it says you can use a calculator, sure, okay. Hopefully you won't have to if you understand the problem correctly. Okay, the reason I'm doing this is percentage notation gets people very worried about decimal positions. In this problem, it's not going to matter. If you can see up front, decimal positions are not going to affect your choice. Good, put it out of your mind. Here we are, 1.6S equals R. From here, it says percentage, but the percentage is just a way of notating the relationship between these numbers. If you get the fraction right, it can be expressed as a percentage or in some other way. Okay, here we have, it's the proportion of S as part of R minus S to be expressed somehow later as a percentage. That's the last thing you need to worry about. You need to get there first. Okay, so you'll notice it has two S's in the problem, okay, and 1 R. So what thing do you probably want to eliminate if you can? You want to substitute some expression for R as an expression for S, or vice versa. My preference is, since this only occurs once, it should be easier graphically to remove. Okay, and if it's easier for you the other way, fine. You're going to get the same result at the end if you do it correctly. In this case, though, I already know R is this, so I can plug in this number for R. Get 1.6S. Okay, minus S with S on top. It's not a 5, it's an S. It's an S. Okay. So if this is 1.6S and this is 1S, this becomes 0.6S. Okay? And by here, you've noticed that since both things are just multiples of s, you can cancel the s's. This s becomes a 1, this s becomes a 1, so we don't need to notate that. This becomes 1 over 0.6. Okay? Now with your little calculator, go ahead. Okay, if you're a tiny bit sharper than that with numbers, and most of my students are not, to be honest with you. But if you're a tiny bit sharper, you can just look at the answers and think, what thing would be equivalent to that? It's the 1.6. Sorry, 166.7. Okay, that's going to be the correct answer if you check it. Otherwise, I have to do this on the board. I'm not going to do this on the board. I have other ways to waste your time.